Welcome to Living a Full Life podcast. Join us as we explore health topics that encourage raising healthy children, living a healthy life, and living the best life possible. Now, here's your host.
I'm Dr. Enrico Dolcecore, and welcome to another week and another podcast of Living a Full Life. This week, we're going to be going through vitamins and nutrients. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's because there's just a lot of information out there. So let's go through vitamins, let's go through minerals, let's go through what normal ranges are and what you need to be getting every day. This is just a knowledge dump. So if you have questions, of course, we're always here for you, and you can reach us in many different ways. We're on all social media platforms, YouTube, fulllifetampa.com, and you can even email us at info@fulllifetampa.com, and all of our doctors are super helpful at answering any particular questions you may have. Make sure to like, share, subscribe to the podcast so that we can keep dropping great information for you. But let's go through it, because when you start talking about vitamins, the podcast can get very, very long. We'll start from A to Z. How's that sound? And just go through the myths and what you truly need from everything. Retinoids, or keratin, is what vitamin A is made out of. It's retinol and retinil and all those derivatives of vitamin A. Vitamin A is essential for everything. It's essential for the development of eyesight, hearing, senses. It's part of our growth and our immune system. We get them from food. We get it from beef, liver, eggs, shrimp, fish, milk, the cheeses, of course, from milk as well. You can get them from sweet potatoes, carrots, pumpkins, squash. We call vitamin A the orange vitamin. Anything that looks red or orange typically will have vitamin A in it. And it's really important to be getting vitamin A through your diet each day. About 3,000 IUs per day is what you can typically get if you have a well-rounded diet. If not, most multivitamins will carry about 900 micrograms of vitamin A. So that's why it's important to take a multivitamin if you don't eat a whole food diet. Vitamin A is a stabilizer and a building block in the body. Then we go through the B vitamins. You usually see B complexes out there for sale, and they do a good job at giving you the base minimum of what you need. Again, it comes from food. You'll see it comes from meats, eggs, the whole food stuff, the milks, the grains. They come from dense, rich food, which is typically meats and proteins. So thiamine, or B1, is the first one. It helps convert all your food into energy. So people low in B1 will typically feel lethargic, have a low appetite, a low drive, and it's needed for healthy skin, hair, muscles, nails, all that good stuff. And there is no really upper limit to this. You can't overdose on B1. You can't really overdose on any vitamin, to be honest with you. But 1.2 micrograms or milligrams of B1, and you'll see that in most multivitamins there as well. Riboflavin, vitamin B2, helps convert food into energy as well. It's another one of those vitamins that will make you lethargic, low appetite if you're low in, and it's the building block for the keratins in the body as well: skin, hair, blood cells, even brain. Again, no upper limit on that either. Comes from the same things: grains, milk, eggs, meats. Green leafy vegetables have a lot of B2 in them as well. You'll see that in the kales, the lettuce, the spinach. That's where you get your sources of B2. Niacin, I think these B vitamins get more and more important as we go down them. Niacin plays a big role in energy as well. And you'll find this mainly from meats, fish, grains. It's found in mushrooms, things that grow directly from the soil. And it occurs naturally in all foods. This one's an important one. You'll feel lethargic with this one as well if you're low. So people with B vitamin deficiencies are typically lethargic and will need injection therapy or high-dose vitamin therapy to get a lot of that energy back. B5, B6, they all play big roles as well and come from meats. Again, meats, eggs, grains, broccoli, mushrooms, avocados, tomatoes. The B6s come in some of the fruits that we eat, like bananas, watermelons, and some beans and legumes that we eat as well. So these ones aid in, again, energy and lowering homocysteine levels, which are inflammatory in the body. And they aid in serotonin and help with mood and anxiety as well. So this is why knowing vitamins can really help people. And in functional medicine and in the work that we do outside of the medical scope and inside of the health scope is looking at these things. So vitamin panels are very common. You can do hair analysis, you can do blood testing. Blood testing is the most accurate and most concise. Again, no upper limits on this. You'll typically see B6 at about 25 milligrams in your multivitamin. You can take up to 100 milligrams per day, no problem, if you're trying to assist with energy. People who say they have low energy or anxiety or depression or anything like that, well, you can go up to 200, 500 milligrams and even go into IV therapy as well with B6, which is pretty cool. Cobalamin or B12, what we know as, it comes through meats, mainly through meats, eggs, fortified milks that have to be enriched with B12. And the best way to get B12 is directly through a shot because it's directly absorbable. But B12 plays a big role. It aids in lowering homocysteine as well. It assists in making new cells and breaking down fatty acids as well and amino acids. So without B12, people get lethargic and tired because the body has to work really hard to digest, to break down the fats, to break down the proteins that we eat, to get the building blocks to rebuild those things in the body. And that takes eating, and digestion is probably the most energy the body uses day to day to do anything. That's where most of our energy is used, is digesting. So it's even more so than walking and the physical things that we do. It even rebuilds, our blood cells and DNA. So B12 is very important. There is no upper limit medically on this. So really, when you feel low, you can take B12 freely. Some people, particularly older adults, will have a deficiency in B12 because they have trouble absorbing the vitamin from food. These come with some digestive pathologies that may happen, from diverticulitis, colitis, ulcerative colitis. These things can all slow down the absorption of B12. But those on a vegan and vegetarian diet definitely don't get enough B12. They do need to supplement with that, and it's easily done with multivitamin, a vitamin, a B12 supplement, B12 injections. You can do that. And a lack of B12 also has been correlated with loss of memory and dementia. It can be, numbness in arms and hands. I usually see this in females, over the age, 40 and above, around that 40-year-old mark. The numbness in the hands, we just automatically give them B12 plus a multi just to make sure we cover all bases, as long as they're healthy. And in some cases, that helps quite a bit. And then with some neuropathy and spinal health stuff that we do in the office, they get well too. Biotin is one we don't talk about a lot. It comes in whole grains, organ meats, liver, kidney, tongue, you get that from the animals. The egg yolk is high in biotin, and fish. So that's where we get biotin from. You need about 30 micrograms per day of biotin, and it helps convert food into energy. It plays the same role with the B vitamins. It's usually lumped in together with the B vitamins, and it synthesizes glucose as well. So these all play roles, and this is why you eat a whole food diet, is because whole foods give you everything from the earth, minerals and vitamins. It's hard to get this stuff from processed foods. Usually these things are fortified, and fortified nutrition in processed foods is not absorbable. It's very low absorbability. Same thing when they add vitamin D to the milk and fortify the milk, the absorbability is very low as well. So the things to consider on a whole food diet. Vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid, it's, we know this as the citrus vitamin, but it plays a long role in preventing cancer, making collagen, neurotransmitter development from serotonin to norepinephrine. It's an antioxidant. It neutralizes unstabilized molecules in the body, and it bolsters our immune system. That's why a lot of people take vitamin C when they're starting to feel a little bit ill. But it should be taken every day. 100 milligrams per day is good. The upper limits, 2,000 milligrams a day. I think it's micrograms, honestly, when we're weighing vitamins. But you'll see it on the side of the multivitamin, and typically vitamin C will be added to a multivitamin at about 100. And if the upper limit's 2,000, you can definitely fortify vitamin C. all the time. Fruits, veggies, they all come with vitamin C. The ones that are highest are citrus, potatoes, broccoli, peppers, spinach, strawberries, tomatoes, Brussels sprouts. And vitamin C's help to reduce colds and the symptoms from colds because it just helps bolster the immune system. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is a big one. 85% of Americans are vitamin D deficient, and it's not just sunlight that we're deficient in. The reason why we don't convert vitamin D from sunlight is because we wear clothes, let's just be honest, and we're inside and we're not outside very much. And even when we do, you can only convert sunlight to vitamin D for about 20 minutes, and then after that your skin shuts down that process and it's trying not to get burnt. So not the best way to get vitamin D. You definitely have to get it through your food. And what it does is it helps maintain minerals in the body. This is why when we don't have the proper vitamin D levels in the body, which should be about 50 to 70, that range, we should be sticking in there. But anyone up to 100 is a good vitamin D level. Most Americans are hovering around 30 or below, which is actually a deficiency medically. Anything under 30 is medically deficient. We look at anything under 50 to be deficient. So it helps maintain normal blood levels of calcium, phosphorus, and strengthens our bone because it brings all the minerals that we eat into the bone. It's a transporter. It's a transporter for many different systems. It's a transporter for our immune system. It's a transporter for cells. It's a transporter for a lot of different things. So think of it as the transit system of nutrition in your body. So with low vitamin D, you just don't have as many buses, rails, and taxi cabs going around enough to do the work for the day. And that's why we end up getting deficiencies in other things and why vitamin D plays a big role. A lot of debate about vitamin D, the necessity of it, if you've got a good diet, what you should be doing, does it really need to be taken with magnesium and calcium at the same time? So that's all up for debate. But the best thing to do is just take pure vitamin D3, liquid form is the highest absorbable, and just fortify that per day. Medically, they say upper limits of 2,000 IUs per day, but we recommend 5. We should be doing about 5,000. If you're below 50 on your blood tests, you should be going up to 10,000 for a short period of time, 30 to 60 days, and then you go down to 5,000. All adults can safely take 5,000 IUs per day and maintain good vitamin D levels. If we had to stop the podcast right now, I would say vitamin D is the most important vitamin. So make sure that you're doing that, and for your family as well. In pediatrics, I use the rule of, by age to get up to 5,000 IUs per day. By the time they're 6 to 8 years old, they can be doing 4,000 or 5,000 IUs per day for sure. Under that, you just want to keep it about their age. So if they're 1 year old, one drop. If they're 2 years old, 2 drops, because each drop is usually made out to be 1,000 IUs. So that's the pediatric rules that we usually give out for healthy families. Vitamin E. Vitamin E is a popular one in the cosmetic industry because of its, it helps neutralize unstable molecules. It's antioxidant. So when you apply it to the skin, it has a lot of antioxidant effects, but it also does that inside the body as well. The myth is that it prevents wrinkles. It actually does not prevent wrinkles or slow down the aging process. It's just an antioxidant that really helps battle those types of damaging foods that we eat and the damaging rays that we put on our skin. But vitamin E doesn't really have, much of an anti-aging process. So don't let the cosmetic industry fool you on that. Again, the upper limit of vitamin E, synthetic vitamin E, 2,000 IUs per day, that's fine there. But I don't see people taking, vitamin E as a capsule. It's usually mixed in with a multi or combined with something else. So there has been some research showing that diets that are rich in vitamin E may help prevent Alzheimer's. So you might be thinking, where do you get vitamin E in our food? And it comes from a wide variety of vegetables and oils. So, wheat, germ, leafy green vegetables, whole grains, and a lot of nuts are high in vitamin E. So that's where you can get them in your diet. The Mediterranean diet is, when you look at vitamins and minerals, the Mediterranean diet does such a good job covering all of it. If you eat that type of a style diet, the whole food Mediterranean, the only difference between Mediterranean and whole foods is that they lean towards more plant-based and fish and nuts. So they say, go into that and don't be scared of your oils that come from the earth. So olives, avocado, coconut, they're all cool with oils coming from the earth. So that's more the difference than whole foods, the whole food diet or Whole 30, which is a popular one as well. Folic acid or B9. B9, vital for new cell creation. Folic acid is what pretty much keeps the body processing new cells. We know that many of our cells in our body die within 90 to 120 days, and we're always creating new cells. So we need to have this machine turning all the time, and vitamin B9 plays a huge role in this. So folic acid, very important, especially during pregnancy. Should be taken by all women and children of childbearing age, just to be ready for, bearing children. It offsets risks of colon cancer, breast cancer, and helps offset, alcohol consumption as well, the damaging effects of oxidative stress from alcohol consumption. In food, hard to get enough of B9 through our food because it comes through fortified grains, but orca, spinach, turnip, greens, legumes, those dense veggies that we eat, chickpeas, tomatoes, peas, and those things all have vitamin B9, but the highest ones are our legumes, black-eyed peas, the lentils, those types of things, or orca. Orca is really dense in B9 as well. But good luck eating that every day, right? I mean, you're probably thinking as you're listening to this podcast, man, when was the last time I had orca or lentils? Unless you're Greek, then you probably had it every Tuesday and Thursday. But other than that, many people don't get enough of this nutrient just because we just don't eat those foods. So you'll see vitamins have that in there, and you'll see a lot of people taking folic acid on its own as a supplement. A very wise thing to do is to have folic acid as well. And I'm going to wrap this up at the end because I know what you're doing. You're creating a shopping list. Stop. I'm going to save you hundreds of dollars in a second here. Don't buy all of these by themselves. You don't need that. It's all going to come through diet. Vitamin K is a popular one with new moms. They're always asking us about vitamin K because of the birthing process, or they're about to have a baby, or whether they should get the vitamin K shot. Should they be taking vitamin K? You'll see vitamin K with vitamin D. You'll see all these things. And vitamin K is one of those floater vitamins that is important. It activates protein and calcium absorption and helps prevent blood clotting too. So that's the theory medically to give a newborn vitamin K, is to stop any bruising from the birth process for babies. But that's assuming that child has a blood clotting disorder or may be susceptible to blood clotting. So what they end up doing is they give every child that's born a vitamin K shot to prevent that. So you know how we think that doesn't make much sense. So vitamin K has been used more, as a scary thing for most new parents. But in diet, it comes from our leafy, sprouts, kales, collards, cabbage, eggs, spinach, and other vegetables. If you eat veggies, you're getting vitamin K. You're probably getting enough. There is no upper limit. No one's ever had vitamin K toxicity. And in your multivitamins, you'll see about 90, 40 micrograms of vitamin K included in a good multivitamin. Now, here's where good multivitamins outweigh themselves from poor multivitamins, is the combination of what they give. You'll see sometimes you'll get an expensive, we use Douglas Labs, and another great one is USANA, USANA. Those are the two gold standard multivitamins for the last, I'm going to say 19 years running. They have just keep up with the research for absorbability, and what you'll see is you'll flip it and you'll be like, whoa, that's just a little bit of vitamin K, or that's just a little bit of calcium, like 5 milligrams. And you're like, but my multivitamin that I take at home is 150. Why is this only 5? Because they've done the absorbability ratios of the human body. So they know what combination to be giving in a multivitamin so that we're not urinating or losing the vitamins that we're taking. Others don't. They usually fill them with zinc and some other minerals that end up pulling the vitamins with them, and your body actually expels them. So there, a little side note for you. Calcium. Calcium has, its whole thing. Doctors are starting to fade on talking about calcium. They used to recommend it quite a lot for osteoporosis, but the new research shows that the only way to prevent bone demineralization is with resistance exercise. It is every year that goes by, the exercise physiology research papers coming out of all the universities from around the world continue to strengthen the notion that resistance exercise, which means pulling bands, lifting weights, doing push-ups, pull-ups, all these things that create resistance in that muscle, that strain. When you pull a tendon on the bone, it creates that pathway of trying to absorb more mineral back into the bone. But taking calcium and not exercising actually has a cardiovascular risk and increases the risk of heart attack over the age of 40. So be careful with calcium. Calcium comes in your foods. The food industry has swayed us into milk and yogurt, saying, "Hey, it's good in calcium." But they usually fortify more calcium into the product to get it for you. But they do have calcium. Milk sources do have it. But salmon, juices, when you're leafy green vegetable juice, that tons of calcium in it, like broccoli, kale, spinach, Swiss chard. All of these have tons of vitamin D. Salmon, fish, they do as well. We're talking about calcium. Apologize, rewind on that. Calcium. You won't see calcium in meats. You just won't see much of it, because when you slaughter an animal and you finally eat the meat, the calcium's all gone. It's been bled out. It's in the blood. So we lose that. Adults absorb roughly 30% of the calcium that they ingest. So this is where the cardiovascular risk came from, is we were upping the dosage of calcium for people to take. They only absorb 30%. We kept updosing it, and we were actually overdosing the amount of calcium that people are consuming. And the heart transmitters, now if we want to get into physiology, if you've taken any biology, you may remember the sodium potassium channels on how most of our cells work for energy to bring energy into the cell and expel energy out of the cell. The heart doesn't work on a sodium potassium pump, it works on a calcium potassium pump, right? So I remember this from school. And so if the heart is the one using the calcium, and our cardiovascular system is the one that's using calcium, we want to make sure we have a good ratio of calcium in the body. So stop taking your calcium, is what I'm trying to get at. Whatever comes in your multivitamin and through the food that you eat, you're probably getting enough calcium. Chloride is never something you need to buy. It comes in your multivitamin. Salt, it's just add some salt to your food and you're probably going to be okay with your chloride. Your chromium comes from your meat, your poultry, your fish, your eggs, your potatoes. Important, nuts and cheeses. It enhances the activity of insulin in the body. Chromium plays a huge role in this. Watermelon is one of those great fruits that have a lot of chromium in it, and actually very good for diabetics. They should be taking that should be taking chromium because it just helps fortify the insulin pathways in the body. So it normalizes blood glucose levels, and it's needed to free energy from glucose. Chromium plays a good role, but it's in our diet. We usually get it. What else can I talk about with chromium off the top of my head? No. I mean, it's in yeast, and it's the reason why we sometimes get bloated. That's too much, but it's not the chromium's fault. It's because we're drinking a bunch of beer. That's why we're getting bloated. Okay, copper. Copper, it's a trace mineral, comes in most of the foods that we eat, but it plays a huge role in iron metabolism. You need this. So any anemia, any iron deficiencies in the body, copper, it's something to look at. Make sure your multivitamin has this. I'm just saying, if you can't listen to this podcast to the end, you're going to buy a Douglas Labs Ultra Preventative X multivitamin, and that's going to cover your bases. There you go. See you later. Okay, for the rest of you that's going to stay on the podcast and listen to iodine and fluoride and iron, let's keep going. But copper, comes in shellfish, liver, nuts, seeds, beans, prunes, cocoa. I mean, chocolate has copper, black pepper. Copper is just a dense mineral that comes from the earth. Fluoride. Let's not get on a spin with fluoride and everything it's put in. Toothpaste, that's where we have to put it in, and the only place it really comes from in the environment is marine fish. I mean, just if you eat some fish, you may get some fluoride because fluoride hangs out in the water. We put it into our water system and our toothpaste because it helps encourage bone formation, but not really inside the skeletal system, more where it actually touches. So your teeth, that's where the teeth thing comes from. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really prevent cavities. So don't let the sales thing go through. I know the dentists now are shaking their heads, but don't let them trick you with that. It doesn't prevent cavities, but it is shown to fortify bone. It does. Do you need to go out and buy it? No. Douglas Labs does not have fluoride in it. I looked through it. That's one because when you take fluoride, it's going to pull other vitamins and minerals out of you, which doesn't make sense. When you're taking a multivitamin, you want things to stay in you and your body to build from that. So that's it. Fluoride, I wanted to touch it, but we're going to keep moving. Iodine. So important. Thyroid hormone, I mean, it's a hormone. Iodine, and some of these vitamins that we're going through, I'm telling you, they're hormones. Vitamin D is classified as a hormone as well. So, but iodine, thyroid hormone, it helps set body temperature and influences nerve and muscle function. So iodine goes back with everything else we were talking about, and B12. It prevents, goiter and congenital thyroid disorders. 1,000 micrograms per day is good. It comes in iodized salt, processed food, seafood. That's where it comes. Salt. Processed foods are heavily salted. Don't go out and eat processed foods to get your iodine. Get it through iodized salt, and then your seafood. That's because it's in the ocean. To prevent iodine deficiencies, some countries add iodine to their salt and bread, but you do too. That's the salt, Himalayan sea salt, Celtic salt. All those salts are really high in iodine. That's where you're going to get your iodine from. Iron. Iron comes from our red meats, our poultry, our eggs, some fruits, green vegetables, and then anything we fortify with our grains and breads. But iron, huge, it's important. It's hemoglobin. It makes up the hemoglobin process in red blood cells, and moves oxygen throughout the body, because that's what the red blood cells do. They pull oxygen and then bring them to the tissue, and then carry CO2, bring it back, and that's their job. They just keep bringing things back and forth. Neurotransmitters and most hormones have iron as a fundamental building block to it as well. Childbearing age women for sure need to be, looking at this stuff with maybe a prenatal vitamin, multivitamin that has it in there too. And then always, talking to iron infusions for anemia. This is where the questions all start to come in. They're a temporary fix, because what you do is you influence iron into the body, which brings up, the iron levels, which may help with anemia short term. But then if we don't correct the pathway of why iron is low, we go back down, and iron, guess what loves iron? All the bugs on earth love iron. Bacteria, even some viruses, they love that. So you got to be careful when you fortify the body with iron through transfusions, because now you're going to feed the gut. The gut has got some bad guys in it, and then we end up getting some gut issues with that. So be careful with that. Magnesium. Magnesium, needed for many chemical reactions in the body. It works with calcium and muscle contraction, blood clotting, regulation of blood pressure, helps build bone and teeth. 350 milligrams per day is the upper limit. You might see in your multivitamin anywhere between 50 and 150, just again because magnesium will pull. And the majority of the magnesium in the body is found in the bones. That's where it goes. Hence the theory of magnesium, calcium together, taking them together, because then vitamin D will pull them into the bone. What pulls things into the bone? Resistance exercise. Remember that. If you don't move, you move it or lose it. Move it or lose it. You'll lose your bone density if you don't move it. Manganese, comes in your fish, nuts, legumes, whole grains. Don't worry about manganese. It's always in some multivitamins. The cheaper your multivitamin, like Centrum, never buy Centrum. Please don't buy Centrum. Has high manganese in it, so you get that nice neon yellow pea. That's cool. That's nice. You can pee your money away. It's cool. You can watch it. Very cool. Potassium, that comes up. Potassium. If we're running into potassium issues, we got bigger issues going on. So potassium is not one of those things where we're like, oh, you're low in potassium, just take more. We're like, whoa, hang on a second. Why are you low in potassium? This is an issue. It comes from your meats, your milks, your fruits, your veggies, your grains. You can't have toxicity with potassium. You can't take too much, but it's needed for muscle contractions. Remember I told you about the sodium-potassium channel? Yeah, you just need potassium. If you go to zero, you're dead. I mean, you can't. You just need it. But proper potassium levels in the body have been shown to have lower blood pressure. People just live with lower blood pressure, which is good. 4 grams, of potassium is plenty, and that comes through again if you're eating some meat and some fruits and some veggies. You're probably getting all your potassium. Bananas, those things are known to have higher potassium levels in them. But potassium is important. That one's medical, so we'll save that for another podcast. You can't be low in potassium. That causes other issues. Selenium, sodium, sulfur, these are things that are not really talked about. Selenium, it acts as an antioxidant. It's great, but it comes in our foods. It comes in our seafood, nuts, plants, depends on the soil content. Remember, if we're using greenhouses for our foods, which a lot of our fruits and vegetables do come from, they are deplenished in selenium. So you'll see selenium in your multivitamin, especially the Ultra Preventative X. Sodium, it's salt. That's where you're going to get it from. But so important, and your body will not allow you to go low in sodium. I mean, you'll get headaches and blood pressure issues, and so there is the American diet at 2,000 milligrams of sodium being the upper limit. It's true. I mean, you don't want to be eating too much salt, but it's needed. You should be salting your foods for sure. Zinc, there you go. A to Z, zinc. Zinc helps form many enzymes and proteins and create new cells. It frees vitamin A from storage in the liver. It's directly linked to smell, immune system, taste, smell, and all that stuff. Sometimes, we put it in our cold remedies with the vitamin C and ascorbic acid, and we take zinc with it, or a zinc drink. And what does a lot of the viruses do? They take away your sense of taste and smell. It's kind of funny. So then when you zinc them up, it's not zinc getting your smell back, it's that you're killing off the virus. So that's an antioxidant, and we saw this a lot with the pandemic, right? Everyone losing their smell. That's where the research, we always knew this though. This isn't new research. We knew this, and then we just kind of clued in together and be like, oh, remember the research we did in the 1960s? Yeah, that's still true. Great. Yeah, zinc's important. Because vegetarians absorb less zinc, experts suggest that they get twice the recommended requirement of zinc from plants and foods. So the daily requirement is about 40 milligrams. And you typically get this stuff from red meat, poultry, some seafoods like oysters, fortified cereals, beans, and nuts. Again, the fortified stuff, when you go through the literature, you're going to see fortified, because they support the food industry. They support processed foods. The only reason you'd ever have to fortify something is because you're going to put it in a box and you're going to let it sit on the shelf for a while. So you fortify it with this stuff. What a nice word, fortify. I like to use poison, but that's okay. That's my opinion. There you go. 40 milligrams, A to Z. A good multivitamin is just smart to have in your cabinet, right? We have a vitamin cabinet in our house. We don't have a medicine cabinet. Neither should you. Call it the vitamin cabinet. Put in Ultra Preventative X. That's a great one by Douglas Labs. You can buy. I think you can buy without a doctor. And if you ever need that, we don't need to do a history or even know you. You can just contact us, email us, and we can set up an account and get it shipped right to your home. But I'm sure Douglas Labs allows you to buy their multivitamin. Just the whole line is closed to doctors. So you have to be a naturopathic doctor, a chiropractor, a medical doctor in order to prescribe these things to your patients. But if you ever need anything, that's what we're here for. Contact us. If you have any questions about vitamins, minerals, let us know. We're here for you. No, we don't know all the answers. So we will be honest with you. If you send us a question, be like, I don't know, but you know what? I know somebody who does. Let me ask them, or let me connect you to, and you'll be able to learn from them directly. I hope this podcast was useful. Multivitamins and minerals, those are always important. Have a fantastic week. Take care. Catch you next time.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Living a Full Life podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.